has done what he had to do to get the champions on the resume. You know what I mean? Whatever you had to do. I mean, I don't diminish that when I talk about what he's done. But then I say for Devin, what we've done and had to do couldn't be anything else other than exceptional. It should be viewed as exceptional. You know what I mean? Instead of, and when they down it, then you have to down all the other champions. You have to take a look at it. When I said 26, I said, well, look at Ray Leonard, look at everyone. Look at Antonio Tarver, look at everyone then at 26. And then you'll see that there's some magic in there.
I get what you're saying on that. What people had an issue with, especially myself, it appeared that you were saying that Devin Haney was better than those fighters. And, like, okay, but because Dev became undisputed at 24, he was better than Sugar Ray. He was better than Floyd. He's better than Roy Jones and all that stuff there. So that's how that was interpreted.
Right.
So you're clear. What you're clearing up is you're not saying that. You're just saying, look what he's accomplished and look what they accomplished at that time. You're not saying he was better than those fighters.
Yeah, no, you can't. I can't compare a career of 20 years to a career of 10 years, right? In terms of that, I can only compare what Devin has done and who Devin is now, and what Floyd had did at that age, right? And then that's where the comparison came in. So. I'm here, baby. I'm here. I pulled up. Listen, I pulled up because you know one thing that I can say, and you said I got a little time to say it, right?
You got a little time to say it, but listen. When I ask you a question, bro, I need straight answers. The problem that the people got with you always filibuster. You run the clock out.
Best 26-year-old fighter, and this era of boxing, with the likes of Floyd, likes of De La Hoya, likes of you name it, he's on there.
Look, this the problem I got. You talking about Floyd? You talking about De La Hoya? Now, you can't compare Devin Haney to Floyd or Oscar De La Hoya.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. I'm not doing the comparison. Devin is. The numbers speak for themselves.
What numbers?
And,
what, you talking about undisputed?
Yes.
Yeah, but
youngest undisputed champion in the four-belt era.
So, but what does that mean? Are you trying to say that Devin Haney is better than Floyd?
I didn't try to say it. I'm just saying that he did it and Floyd didn't do it. When are you going to report that?
Nah, but Floyd didn't do it. But hold on, you got to understand what the politics was at that time. You don't know why Floyd didn't go for undisputed. The problem I have with what you just said was, I feel like when you trying to say that Devin Haney accomplished more than what Floyd did at his age, I feel like you trying to say that he better than Floyd. And I don't believe that. Come on, bro.
Well, I mean, what you're listening for is what's on your imagination and what's on your heart. If you can look at the numbers and you can look at what he done did, and from that, you assume that I'm saying that he's better than Floyd.
But Floyd,
well, you're making that assumption. Because I'm saying at 26 years old, you look at the numbers, we fought 7 world champions, and we're going after number 8 at 26.
So when you say 7 world champions, you're talking about people who were former champions when you fought them. A couple guys y'all fought had belts. George Cambosos had, you know what I mean, I get that. So it then Regis Prograde. So those were the 2 guys who actually had belts when you fought them.
You said the politics of boxing, right? When I give you the numbers and I give you the facts, and you make the assumption on your own.
But see,
the
Bill,
conclusion to what I'm saying is that right now, what we're doing is no less than stellar.
Listen, the only issue that I have, as I told you before, you're saying I'm making the assumption. But Bill, you kind of like ambiguously, like vaguely putting it out there, because when you say Dev has done it faster than Floyd, Dev has done it faster than Roy Jones. Dev has did it before, not faster, before Sugar Ray Leonard. You had a list. You had Sugar Ray Leonard name on there. You had Floyd Mayweather name on there. And I talk about Pretty Boy and Money Made. Sugar Ray. You had Antonio Tarver on there. I get that. You had Roy Jones on there. Man, come on, man.
Listen, if you can get that,
you talking about legends, bro.
If you can get that, then you can get this, and you could really understand what Devin has done, and also being an independent, right? having his own company, and his own ability to not only attain the titles but transcend sports and through boxing and what you can and what you can't do. I think that speaks volumes as well. But you know, the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, if them guys
Okay,
could do it, if they could do it, if they can do it, then why didn't they do it? And I mean, unify the whole entire division.
Okay, well, if they didn't do it, what does that mean? You saying all that to say what? Okay, Floyd wasn't undisputed. You saying all that to say what?
What I'm saying is that you draw the assumption. I'm saying that they did.
No, but what are you painting? That's the saying. Like, okay, hold on. Why you just can't?
I'm painting. Listen, what I'm painting is that Devin, at 26 years old, is the youngest undisputed two-division champion. Someone that has put and got 7 different champions in the ring and gotten them the most pay that they couldn't have gotten at that time. For some, it was their record-breaking career paydays was him. And when I'm talking about that, I mean, I think that a lot of times he's being diminished. People can choose to pick a side, but I mean, you have to pick the truth. You can stand over there, but you got to tell the truth. You know what I mean? And here on True Media Podcast, this is what we're doing. We're telling the truth.
Man, look here. I get what you're saying. I was late to that, but I want to pivot back.
Okay.
So you're not saying that Devin Haney was better than Floyd Mayweather when Floyd was 24, 25, 26, or Oscar De La Hoya or Roy Jones. Is that what you're saying, or you just basically saying
I said that he's more accomplished.
Okay, all right, I get it. More accomplished.
He's more accomplished. And for a person to say, you know, that's opinionated. When you say guys of different eras, are they better than this guy? A lot of things can depend on your opinion that sways you.
But that's what the fans are interpreting when you say that. Instead of you just saying, okay, Devin is the youngest to become undisputed at 24 years old or whatever. I know he's 26 now. Instead of you just saying that, you saying you bring a Floyd name in it. Yeah, he did it before Floyd. He did it before Oscar. Oscar didn't do it. Oh, Sugar Ray didn't do it. See that's the problem people got, man. You playing semantics. Come on, man. You know what you're doing, Bill.
Okay, how far do you got Floyd up there? You got Floyd. How do you rate him?
Talking about like one of the goats.
Yeah, you rate him.
Yeah, man. I keep everybody in the area. You know, Sugar Ray Robinson, my favorite. I got him number one. Of course, Henry Armstrong, Ezra Charles, those guys.
But you were able to see. You're only able to see limited information, right? Because you know I studied boxing as well. But you're only able to hear the stories of Sugar Ray Robinson. You're not able to actually see a whole lot of fight footage on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not all his fights. There's some footage out there, but
it's not a lot of guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the legend tells it what those are. We're in this era. We're watching a guy who's in a business that's historically really, really hard, a real cutthroat business, do things that other fighters that were greats not do. So you can't do anything. You can't no longer down him. You have to crown him.
I get that. And then again, I'm glad you brought that up because back then, it was a different criteria. We don't know the politics of what was going on or what that fighter ambition was at that time.
Yes.
If a fighter didn't become undisputed, maybe he couldn't, or maybe he really didn't want to. Maybe he was just chasing big name fights. I don't know. But point well taken. You're saying right now, in this particular era that we're in right now, 2025, this is the Devin Haney era. Is that what you were saying?
Absolutely.
What is define the Devin Haney era for the fans? Define that.
Well, anytime that you have transcended the sport, you have revolutionized the sport, you have done better in the sport. You've come into a sport that was one way, and you were able to help and revolutionize that era for the generation that's coming behind. The last person that was to do that, the last person that did that I was able to live in the era of Floyd Mayweather, and that meant getting money. What he represented. He was Money Mayweather, you know what I mean? Getting paid.
He was Pretty Boy. He was Pretty Boy first. If it wasn't for Pretty Boy, we wouldn't have Money Made. We talking about the same person, but he had to go through his Pretty Boy phase. 10 years over that top rank.
Yeah, but Pretty Boy didn't have an era. You know what I mean? There's nothing that Pretty Boy did that was exceptional.
What you talking about with nothing itself? Man, you know, wait, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He was a pound for pound fighter. He was hell of a exceptional.
He didn't do anything that was exceptional that any of the other really good fighters done. I think he done more when he became Money May after the Oscar De La Hoya fight. That's one of the big fights, because pre that he had on his resume he had Diego Corrales.
He had the Drunken Master. Emmanuel Augustus.
Those don't count. Right?
He had Zab.
Yeah. Zab was not on there.
Zab
didn't fight Pretty Boy. Zab fought Money May.
No, I think he fought. Oh, you know what? Yeah, Floyd.
Yeah, come on.
Floyd started to turn up to 20. Pretty Boy. Money May about 2006.
Listen,
about 2006, right?
When Zab,
because he fought Oscar 2007.
That's Money May.
That's Money May.
After Oscar.
He fought Zab 2005, 2006. I always forget the year.
Well, it was definitely Zab. That was going to Floyd for the payday.
Now
he was Money May at that particular time.
Now
he was picking the fighters that it was a lottery for fighters that wanted to fight Floyd, because you were going to get paid. It was Money May. It became the Money May era.
So he did 10 years. He was over that top rank for 10 years, from 96 to 2006.
Yeah, so let's stay focused. Pretty Boy.
Yeah, 10 years. So Pretty Boy right there. So right when he left top rank, that's when he became Money May.
No, so because you almost fell out.
No, I ain't fall out. No, I know. No, but what I'm saying,
it sounds good.
No, Pretty Boy Floyd was come on, no, man. You ain't finna do that, dog. You ain't finna do that. No, you ain't finna do that.
It sounded like the one that was robbing the banks. Pretty Boy Floyd. It sounded
no. Money May was robbing the bank, but once he left top rank, got out of his contract, he was over there for 10 years. He had like 34, 35 fights over there.
I beg to differ.
So his
I don't take nothing away from either Pretty Boy or Money May. Two tremendously talented fighters, one and the same guy. Someone that hasn't had an era in boxing, someone that has an impact on me, on Devin, on the black community. It's so much stuff that he's done and had did. And while we watched him and while we grew in the gym and stuff like that and learned from him, we learned that to really be better than him, you're gonna have to do something that he hasn't done. Give me a second, right? Because one thing that he told us was that he wants us to break his record. He wants every young fighter to break his record. He wants
Floyd disingenuous when he said that.
Okay, but I'm saying this. But what he says to us, and that light bulb that goes off in your head when you hear him say it, right? See, you've never heard him tell you that you know what I mean, to break his record or to do things, or one day it's going to be this, or one day his records are made to be broken.
Yes.
Is what he says, right? We just continue to just as a team, push to be great. You know what I mean?
This is what I say. You say Money May, I say Pretty Boy Floyd and Money May. Listen, when you look at Floyd Mayweather's legacy, you cannot just isolate it with Money May. You can't forget about the Pretty Boy Floyd phase that paved the way for Money May. When you look at Floyd Mayweather's legacy, you have to look at it in its entirety. Now, of course, Money May was the one that broke the bank and made the most money after he fought Oscar and all that stuff there. Those are the facts. A lot of fans that Floyd Mayweather have right now, they came in on the Money May phase. And they think that, what Money May was, he was, some people say he was a runner. He's dancing around the ring and this and that. There's a bunch of fights I can show you where Money May didn't even do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He sat in the pocket. He was able to hit and not get hit. So what I like to say is, when I look at Floyd Mayweather, you have to look at his career in its entirety.
Oh, absolutely. I'm saying.
But I agree with you but Money Mayweather was the one that.
He's a GOAT. He's a GOAT. You know what I mean? I take nothing from that, and you know what I mean. And I always say that he inspired us, and motivated us. You know what I'm saying? To be who we are, right? But also, I don't diminish what Devin is and what he's done in the sport. I don't diminish that at all. You know what I mean? If I can give you a little, then I can give you it all. You know what I mean? I've seen him, Devin, in the ring with Floyd. You know what I mean? I've seen, Floyd and Dev work side by side. I've seen those things, right? You know, and at 26, I'm saying at 26, you know what I mean? You can compare them both.
But see, this is the problem that I have. You are praising Floyd, but then one breath, then we see an Instagram video when you and Floyd going at each other on video and stuff like that. It's like you always comparing them, talking about the influence and the impact that Floyd had, in, you know, in your life and then in Dev's life. In one breath, but then now it's like, yeah, now you compete with him. Yeah, you know, we doing better than this.
It's always going to be a Kobe and Jordan, or a LeBron and Jordan, you know what I mean, from a competitive standpoint, right? To be great, you know what I mean. We've never sugarcoated that our motivation is to get to the Mount Rushmore of boxing. Where the greats are, where they live at, where someone like Floyd and the rest of them live at there. But you can't be, you know what I mean, you know, anything less than confident, anything less than determined, you know what I mean, and not shy about who you are. And I'm not shy about who I am, and I'm not shy about the guy that I represent.
I'm glad you spoke about what you represent. Devin Haney's last fight. That's been everywhere. People say the Jose Ramirez fight, he was running. We don't spoke about this before. Why did you implement the game plan for that particular fight for Jose Ramirez when you was working with Sugar Shane Mosley? We know Sugar Shane don't even fight like that. What was the purpose of you working with Sugar Shane Mosley? Only to turn around and kind of like backstab him, it seemed like, tell Dev a different game plan that I'm pretty sure that he didn't even think y'all was going to go with for that fight.
Well, you know, shout out to Shane, you know what I mean, who's a great fighter, you know what I'm saying? You know, who gave us his tools, gave us his tools that's in his bag, right? That's, you know, and I always make a reference to Devin having a warehouse full of tools, you know, and what we,
he got a warehouse full of tools.
Not a toolbox, not a tool shed, but a warehouse full of tools. You know what I mean? So, you know, what he uses to get that job done, I don't think that we should, you know what I mean, we should be critical about that. I mean, it's him, because it's him. Once he gets the job done, we lay out all the tools for him, right? And say, okay, now what do you choose to do, right? Initially, it's, you know, go with our first game plan is to stay on the outside, right? We know what Jose Ramirez has with his left hook to the body. We know what with his right hand that.
So that was your first game plan?
Yeah, it was our first game plan. It was first gear, and Ramirez we never had to come out of first gear.
So, okay, when you say that was the first game plan, was that the game plan that you came up with, or in conjunction with Sugar Shane, or just you saying?
You start out, you know, I mean, going against this particular fighter, right? And Jose Ramirez is to fight on the outside, right? Not to go on in, you know, on the inside and fight a guy that's through history, right? His highlight film is filled with a left hand to the body, or left hand up top, or right hand, you know, on the inside.
But
right?
see,
so when you talk about someone like a great fighter that you love, the GOAT, or excuse me, TBE, who always talked about handicapping a fighter. You take away their weapons, and then you see what they
you're going down the wrong rabbit hole on this one, Bill. I'm gonna tell you why. There you go with that Floyd shit again now.
No, give me a second. Because when you talk about a particular game plan, and when you can do something and you can continue to do it for all the young fighters, and they can't do anything, then you just keep doing it. You keep doing it. That's boxing. This is not. It's not fighting, right? I think that maybe their thing was that it was going to be a fight, right? I think a lot of channels, and they said how Jose Ramirez was going to fight Devin. Can Devin fight? And well, you know, when you have someone that's coming to fight, you box them, and when they're coming to boxing, you fight them.
So I'm glad you spoke about that. The Jose Ramirez, the game plan that y'all had. The problem that I have is this: if Dev have all of these tools in his toolbox, a warehouse full of tools that you say he had, listen, that was a goddamn screwdriver. What he did,
yes.
He could have easily pulled out another tool. You compare them to Floyd. This is the problem that I have. When Floyd fought Canelo, he didn't fight Canelo the way Dale fought doggone Jose Ramirez. You show Jose too much respect, bro. You show the man too much damn respect. You could have hit and not get hit, being right there mid-range. That's what Floyd did. Since you keep talking about Floyd, he did it as Pretty Boy and he did it as Money Man. You get what I'm saying? So you could have did that. Right. But and then while you telling us, look, we training with Sugar Shane Mosley, and we thinking about how Sugar Shane performed in the ring. So I'm like, okay, they're gonna be working on some combinations. They're gonna be stepping. He gonna be in the pocket, slipping and rolling and countering and all that stuff there, and get this guy out of there. You gave him too much respect. Jose Ramirez was old, and we was expecting a lot based on all the stuff that we saw from videos that you put out there leading up to that, and then to put on a performance like that, that Dev won. You right about that. He got the victory, but he could have been a lot more impressive, man. Come on, Bill.
Coulda. Right? When you talk about a trainer of the year in Robert Garcia, right? Who all the coulda shit. That's what he was prepared for. Trust and believe. At this elite level, and I want to inform you. You know what I mean? I don't want to bullshit you. You know what I'm saying? When the lights come on, the object is to give that fighter something that fighter ain't seen, if you can, right? I know that you guys don't have no problem with the deception that Ryan used. You have no problem with the deception that T.O. uses. We got to be just the dumbest motherfuckers in boxing if everything that we give you is the truth when it comes to the game plan before the fight.
Yeah, but you didn't say that. You didn't say that was going to be the game plan before the fight?
Because guess what? I don't need you expecting or knowing my game plan before the fight.
I get that.
You see what I'm saying? So the thing about it is that first gear, we never had to come out of first gear. And I was comfortable and I was cool with it because it was him being away from the fight game for a year. He had never been away that long. And then just get his legs, get acclimated, get ready. And guess what? Let me tell you this though. They fear him more. They fear him more now than ever. When you get up in that square circle, it's about winning. And they fear whether or not they can win against him.
But this is the thing. You saying you want to get his legs acclimated, get some rounds in. He could have did that for like the first 3 rounds. He did it for 12 rounds, Bill. 12 rounds. He fought.
No. You make it sound like it's more than 36 minutes.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
No.
Listen, in the sense of, right, we gave him 36 minutes, right, to change his family's life. Jose Ramirez, listen, he gave him 36 minutes. 12 rounds.
That bullshit, man.
Well, we did. And listen, let me tell you. And when you have, what I want to do is, I want to let him know that he is a 2-time champion. He is was he a lineal?
Yeah, 2-time champ, unified champion.
Unified champion. But what I'm saying is, and when you talk about Robert Garcia, hell of a trainer, champion, right? Trainer of the year, multiple times, right? Why didn't they?
I get that.
No, you didn't. I do get live on True Media Pod.
I do get it. Because
are they bums?
No.
But to the person, to the untrained eye, to a casual fan, they'll think he's a bum, right?
Talking about Jose?
Yes.
If they never heard of him before, yeah. Because he wasn't. Bum, right? He showed the inability to cut the ring off.
Right. But they'll think he's a bum, right? He ain't no bum. Devin just made him look like that.
So now you trying to snag? Now you trying to act like you Roy Jones now?
No, I'm just saying.
Roy Jones, y'all must have forgot. You had the nerve to say that I ain't fought nobody. I had to make him look like nobody. So now you saying.
I think him and Roy might be on my page on my Instagram right now. Bill Haney _. Yeah, you must have forgot. Yeah, you must have forgot.
Hey. So let's pivot.
No. But from right there, right? When you make a world champion, 2-time champion, you make a trainer of the year. And that cap and that team, listen, because they said that they had prepared, for everything. They had prepared that it was going to be their best performance, right? When you make them look like that, when they go home and they say, God damn, look, God damn, what happened? What happened? What could I have done more? What?
Bill, I get that. I get all of that.
He's out of business. And guess what? Jose Ramirez is a decent fighter still. I mean, he's still got fight in him. You know what I mean?
Bill, I get all of that. You put out, you made it seem like y'all finna go put on, we finna go make an example. We finna go step on this dude. You could have beat that same Jose Ramirez, fight that dude mid-range. He wouldn't been able to hit Dev. Dev got all these tools in his toolbox. So he could have used all those tools mid-range. You gotta step on that. You gotta step on that dude, man. You supposed to fault him.
Talking points is my man, my brother, and Caleb Plant, man.
You supposed to fault him. You supposed to fault him the way you fought doggone
shout out to
Regis program.
Shout
you supposed to fault him just like that.
Shout out to Caleb Plant, who had a rough outing the other night, and I know I wish him a speedy recovery back. Shout out to the young guy, the contender Radiaz or whatever.
Yeah, it's Armando
Radiaz. Shout out to him and what they've done. But Caleb, you know you don't fight like that, man. You done always been slick. You use your legs. You do all that. Don't he use his legs? He didn't use his legs at all.
Caleb Plant,
did he use his legs?
It looked like he got old overnight.
No, man. Y'all be talking to fighters that y'all be sitting there and they be listening. Y'all are not listening to that. The name of the game is to hit and not get hit, and you use the 20 feet by 20 feet in there.
And it need to be 18 by 18. And the name of the game is to hit and not get hit. But Pretty Boy Floyd fought mid-range and was able to hit and not get hit. So that's what I'm trying to clarify. James Turner, all those guys. You can sit right there mid-range or even in the pocket and hit and not get hit. You don't have to dance all around the ring or do the electric slide around the ring for 12 goddamn rounds. You could have did that same thing mid-range, hit and not get hit. That's what you got to educate the fans on, bro.
No.
Especially when you talking about Floyd Mayweather now.
Listen. You can do what you just done. You saw what you seen. Now, you can take a chance on that mid-range. I know y'all wanted to see it. You want to see him take a chance. You want to see, that's what they want.
That's the whole point.
That's what they want. But guess what? When y'all said that we had to, you said that you said that Caleb old overnight. He was in there taking a chance. No. But listen, but when you don't give it no chance, you don't give him no chance at the money, then oh my God. But when Devin sat in the pocket, right, and then he said he was chinny. They said he was all the other shit. Don't you remember? We done done all that. But don't you remember we did every style? We did every style. We did every style for him. What haven't we done?
All right. So what you saying is that style, is that going to be Devin Haney's style from this point forward, the style that he fought against Jose Ramirez? That's going to be his style? Because you have to entertain the fans at the same time, man. It's sports entertainment.
Shout out to True Media Podcast, and we might go in there the next time and use the Sugar Shane style. I mean, it's in there. And I'll tell you another thing, too. Rest in peace to Coach Mike McCallum. While we talking about style. One of my favorite fighters, man. Who always said, forget about it. Yeah. Right? But when you talk about Mike McCallum, we've worked with Mike McCallum, and
but you ain't fighting like Mike McCallum.
That's in the warehouse.
You go get this nigga full of shit. He sits in the warehouse. So he pulled it out only when need be. All right. You brought on Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia, y'all had a contract to fight him for the rematch. Ryan Garcia lost to Rolly Romero. He showed an inability to block the left hook. Rolly Romero dropped the left hook. Hold on. He got caught with the left hook.
Why he get caught with the left hook?
Because he got his right hand down.
Listen.
You know what I mean?
He was on the flat. He was on the flat. Ryan Garcia, listen, I'm only going to tell you one thing, because I don't, you know I don't like you guys.
Yeah, but
I don't like you guys. But I'm going to tell you though, because nobody wants to take, you don't fight like that either, Ryan Garcia. You done fought 6 times. It have been 3-3 in the amateurs, and the last time that he done fought, right? Now I know with the the PEDs that I told him, you know what I'm saying? I told everybody he didn't look the same.
Yeah,
but the
that.
style, still, he was on a flat. He was on a flat.
Yeah.
He was on a flat. He wasn't boxing. He wasn't doing none of that. Rolly Romero looked like he was boxing. Normally he'd be on a flat.
But this what it was though. Ryan Garcia showed that he's a one-trick pony. He was trying to land that left hook pretty much the entire fight. Rolly kept the phone. He kept the phone right here. He held it right there. Something that there.
He's not.
So.
He's not a one-trick pony.
He is a one-trick pony. But guess what? He got outboxed by Rolly Romero. Yeah. Someone everybody thought was inferior.
You know what?
Come on, man. That man a one-trick pony.
In the Devin Haney era, the drugs, not only did he get exposed using the drugs, but he was affected in his next fight because of the drug testing. And through that, right, he didn't have the confidence that he had off of the shit.
Yeah.
The shit had a different confidence.
You're right about that.
When he went in there, he's on a flat.
Yeah.
When Dev asked him, Dev looked up and said to him, he said, what happened? He's like, man, it just wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I wasn't I don't know, it wasn't my night. Nothing was working. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we know the reason why it wasn't working, because he was on the PEDs. You got ripped all year, like from last year all the way up until this point about the Ryan Garcia fight. But the fact of the matter is the Ostarine played a big part in it. It showed he got outboxed by Rolly Romero. Ryan Garcia is a one-trick pro. Let me tell you why. He's only known for his left hook. When he fought Tank Davis, Tank told him, all you got is a left hook. If you can't land that left hook, then what? Tank told him that. So he was trying to land a left hook against Rolly. Rolly kept blocking it and countering off of it. Then he got gunshot. It's very similar to how I want to pivot back to how Dev looked when he fought Jose Ramirez. But the only difference is Dev looked like he was scared. And from what you telling me about the Robert Garcia, Robert Garcia trainer of the year, it seemed like that you were scared of Robert Garcia and Devin fought scared when he fought Jose Ramirez. And I felt like he shouldn't have fought like that. He could have fought that dude mid-range and stopped him.
Now you have half of it right. Me being scared of Robert Garcia and what they bring and everything that is going into it, the whole game plan. Because see, I'm in the streets. I know what the fuck is going on.
You in the streets. See?
I'm in the streets. You seen that man. You see that man walk up from Africa?
Yeah, to Angola.
Yeah, talking about how, what'd he say? Talking about how he follow us way in Africa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He said,
what'd he say? I tell the truth. I shoot straight.
Yeah, but how
motherfucking right.
But what I said, I said how much you paid him to say that.
Yeah, and guess what? And
he just a random dude just walking the elevator. He just walking the elevator.
And guess what I told you? I said if I have to pay for every time somebody say something good about what I done did for Devin, I'd be broke. Now do I look like I'm broke?
Well, elevator. I'm sitting there like this, just all of a sudden. All of a sudden, me and you coming up the elevator. Him and his partner get in there. He talking about Devin Haney. Man, come on, man. He could have been talking about Tank.
You heard my daughter. She said we're 1,000,000,001. She said 1 billion people come up and say something, and we didn't have one hater out of 1 billion of them. So that's good math. And our math is mathing over here. We're doing a great job.
But you know what though? On social media, there's an appearance that Devin Haney is. He was the most hated fighter, and then Shakur took over, and then before that it was Crawford. But then now everybody pivoting back to Devin Haney. Why y'all so hated? People, when I talk to people, they say we don't like Devin Haney because of you. Bill Haney. They say Bill is a liar. They say Bill is a filibusterer. They say Bill don't answer no questions. He been with that flam.
I done pulled up to Florida. I done pulled up to Florida looking for all the smoke. I done came to True Media Podcast myself. Now, listen. Ryan Garcia is a racist.
Facts. Well, my baby, some can say he a bigot, but
okay. Racist, bigot, so all the shit, right? Yeah. Now, because when there's times that he wants to frustrate others, he wants to get up under our skin, he just went into the race bag. That's why I say that he's a racist. Why I feel, right? I don't look at his life and see what he's doing and all the shit. When it came time for, and I'm gonna show you something else that's real racist. When it came time to promote the fight and come time to raise each other's profile based on everything that he did the most racist thing is, to me, in my opinion, he tried to stop the bag. He tried to stop the money. He tried to stop the finances. He tried to stop the profile. And he continues to try to do that, right? Right? And
he didn't do it with Tank though. When he fought Tank, he didn't do it.
No, he didn't. He didn't do it with Tank. But that doesn't mean that he didn't show racism towards us by, one, the shit that he said during the press conference, right? Which, you know what I'm saying? He then said that he was crazy, right? And then he said that he wasn't crazy. Y'all thought I was crazy. Well, why did you just do all that shit?
And all the shit he did on social media.
All the shit he did on that. You know what I'm saying? That's no different than
niggas and all that. Yeah, he said all that shit. Yeah.
Than Teofimo Lopez.
Same thing.
Same shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? We want to fight, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we're gonna talk about that fight. This is the problem that I have with a lot of you black athletes. Not you father, but the black athletes. I tell my audience, I say, look, there's a difference between the rich black celebrity and the average black individual. And what I noticed with black athletes, most of them, once they become rich, you know, they're part of a different social economic class in society, they're more closer to whiteness. Because, you know, when I say that, I mean the people who got the money, like in the NFL, the leagues, the owners and stuff like that. You're living a different your paradigm is different from the average person. So you're living in you're eating well. You're living in nicer neighborhoods. You flying around in private jets and stuff like that. So you don't view the world through the prism of the average black person or Hispanic person or white person that don't have the money, the finances, and the privileges and able to be in the upper echelon of society like a lot of the black athletes. So when someone like a Ryan Garcia call black people, I hate niggers, and George Floyd, I dig him up and do this and yada yada yada, and Teofimo Lopez called black people monkeys and all that stuff there, it seemed like the black athletes, they don't, well, Teo ain't really no racist, man, he just playing like that, or Ryan ain't really that. They accepted him. So it's like, bro, it's like, fam, they never could have got away with nothing like that in the 80s. The 90s, or even the early part of the 2000s. But it seemed like there's a disconnect with these modern day black athletes who are rich in boxing than it was of our people of the old. Why is that? I have a huge spot.
Well, I imagine that it was some niggas helping the slave master, you know what I mean, load the ship up with black folks to come here. You know what I'm saying? So you can always have, you know what I mean, covert operations and involving, niggas that fit the agenda.
So how you able to navigate through that in boxing? I'm just saying, like, because you're a businessman at the end of the day, and you don't let personal things get in the way. But it paints a different picture. Like you just addressed Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez's bigotry and racism, and they are that. You just addressed it. But someone like a Jamal Charlo, he don't like y'all. He oh man, I ain't worried about what Teofimo said. I ain't thinking about that. I say racist stuff all the time and this and that. And I don't really mean it. That don't mean I'm racist. I'm like, well, you know how dumb that is. Okay, so you saying if you say racist shit all the time, that don't mean you're really racist. Like literally, that's damn near the definition of that. If that's what because you say what's in your heart. You see what I'm saying? You manifest through your mouth what's in your heart. So if you say racist shit all the time or whatever the case may be, that's who you are. That's a representative. You're showing the world this is who I am as a person. And what bothers me, when I see these same niggas who boxing, they'll turn around because now they're making money now. And the athletes are on the same level from a financial standpoint. Of course, some have more money than others. But I'm saying that the top guys, there's a disconnect between the black celebrity here and the people. And the people are yelling out, but the black celebrity like, oh no, man, hey.
Well, that goes.
I ain't worried about that.
But that's not just the black celebrity or the black athlete. That's black media as well. That's not doing their job to, celebrate those that are doing the right thing, that are making the change, that are speaking up and representing what our culture needs. When you choose to go against that and choose to entertain a platform and an audience that you know what I mean, it's not pro Devin Haney, who has done that, who's the opposite of Charlo. And when you talk about taking a stand for the franchise belt, you know what I mean? That was the official duck belt, quote unquote. And sorry about that, Mauricio, but that's what they call
Mauricio.
it.
I call it the French fries belt.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't, Mauricio. He had a belt that he said it was a new thing. It would be a new thing, and it would catch on. It was something that Devin vehemently opposed. And it was the end of it. I think that, when it was the sides of the streets, in terms of promotion before Turkey, Devin had worked with everyone, from, Matchroom to Top Rank, to Golden Boy, and Showtime.
You didn't work with PBC?
Showtime.
Oh, Showtime, yeah. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Showtime. Yeah. So, but, that was when everyone was saying that you had to be on one side of the street if you want to get a fight.
Yeah, that was the PBC day. That was when Errol Spence was hot, Jamal DeCharlos was hot, Tank, AB, Keith Thurman. Yeah, that was Danny Garcia. That was that old crew. They the one that was doing that shit. Hide behind Al. Call Al. Remember them days, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that Devin is one of the ones that was the leader of the new school. That he wasn't going to lean into that comfortability or that protection that you've afforded when you have allegiance to one promoter, one network. You know what I mean? Instead of doing everything that you can to make the big fights. So he's the leader of the new school in that in the Devin Haney era. When you talk about traveling and going to get the belts, and you know what I mean, as a challenger. You know what I mean? Making those fights happen. Lomachenko coming back undisputed, and not just being undisputed, but coming back and fighting the man in the division that everyone says is going to beat you.
The Matrix.
The Matrix. Pound for pound guy at 26. You come back and you do that. You know what I'm saying? And then you align yourself with a powerhouse in Turki Alalshikh and Ring and Sela to bring the biggest and the best fights to be made. So when you in or around your division.
So when you say that the Devin Haney era, you broke that down earlier, but you say he transcended the sport in this day and time. So basically what you're saying, doing it as an independent, the way Devin Haney the way you have moved Devin Haney's career, and him in conjunction with him, you're saying that the way he has moved is how he's transcended the sport.
Absolutely.
In today's time, because he's doing it independently without, like a Floyd Mayweather. I'm gonna bring him back up. Mm-hmm. He signed on the Top Rank, and he was with them for 10 years. So he had the backing of the machine of Top Rank, and I think they was with HBO at the time as well. So he had the backing of that.
It was blood, like I said.
So you saying the way you doing it, yes. You didn't do it while I got long-term contracts with the PBC, like a Tank or the Charlos or the Spences or the Garcias or the Thurmans. You're like, no, we working with everybody coming out the gate. And so is that what you mean by Devin Haney is transcending the sport?
Right. And what Floyd had did, him and his team literally, shed blood. You know what I'm saying? To trailblaze the way that he, the way in his era, the way in which you can go to a company, you can work with them for a long time, or you can have a working relationship with them, mm-hmm. and if things aren't working out, you can buy yourself out the contract.
Well,
right? That was in the Floyd Mayweather era, right? Where Devin has transcended it in the sense of is that you don't even have to be a part of it. You don't have to sell your soul. You can, and you and your team, you can stay down, you know what I mean, and get there. And that's something that no one believed that can be done. And it might never be done if you listen to, individuals that that say that lean into needing a promoter, needing a network. No, what you need is faith and belief and hard work, and you can get there.
So what's the benefits of working with a promoter? You saying like you say, you can do it the way you guys have done it. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. Or I got a better question for you. Why more boxing dads with sons are not doing the Haney way?
Yeah, because they're listening to the trolls in the comment section on True Media Podcast. Stop listening to them. They're not real.
Hey, we ain't got no troll. We ain't really got no troll. We block all
they're not trolls. You got some bots in there.
Yeah,
you got some bots. You got some bots. So when people be saying that, that's not real, y'all. When they saying that, you know what I mean? It's it can be done, right? What we've done, and that was our motivation, right? A big part of our motivation was. And our story was, you know what I mean? We always told it. We didn't sneak in the room. We came in the room and said it was Devin Haney versus everybody. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't sneak in the room. We didn't come and tell you, okay, we're gonna sign a deal and then we're gonna go to the lawyer and then we're gonna try to figure out how we're gonna make some money to pay you to get out the deal. Every deal that we went into, right? We fulfilled the contract. We fulfilled we never complained about it. Because we never signed anything that we weren't standing on, that we didn't believe in. Nothing was never too far out, you know what I'm saying? Where we would not have an understanding about it. You know what I mean? When you talk about 5 years or 3 years or something like that, who knows? So, and within those agreements, it becomes disagreements. Because the fighter before the 5 years is looking at what the championship money is going to look like. Then his eyes look like this. But after he's put in the work and he's gotten there, and the 5 years, the money looks like this.
Why is
it? You see what I mean? Because the projections have to be lower than the expectations and imagination, right? If you go in there and you put something on the paper that fits, I have to have a realistic expectation of what this contract can be when I'm presented. But you and us, we had the imagination. Our imagination was big. Mm. So in fairness, they weren't able to put that. They weren't able to give it to me because our imagination, what we were going to be, was way bigger than what they were willing to risk.
So, you work with Eddie Hearn, you work with Bob Arum, you work with Golden Boy. There's a perception that Eddie Hearn really don't like you. I don't know how they feel about Dev, but they don't really like dealing with you. Oscar De La Hoya appeared to be, he can't stand you. Bob Arum, whatever.
I can't stand you either, Oscar.
You know what I mean? So, you
go unbutton his coat on the stage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I said, Oscar, if Oscar come past that chair right there, you know what I mean? And I don't know what I was going to do, but I was going to do something.
Listen, so you got beef with Oscar. You had beef with Bernard. Y'all was finna go to the back. So,
shout out to Bernard, man. Because we don't have any beef. Men can agree to disagree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can shake hands and. A friend of mine told me, you know what I mean, you can't trip on nothing that's behind you.
Fast. You know what I mean? You can't, if you trip over something that's behind, I mean you're walking backwards.
There you go.
The name of life is to progress going forward.
There you go.
You don't have to stay where you started at. You get what I'm saying? So I do appreciate the fact that y'all was able to do what you was able to do. But right. my thing is, what makes Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya want to do business with y'all when you don't have a long-term contract with Eddie Hearn, with Matchroom, you don't have a long-term contract with Top Rank, and you definitely don't have one with Golden Boy. So it seems their business model.
They don't have a long-term contract with Golden Boy. Don't got a long-term contract with Matchroom. Matchroom don't got a long-term contract with Top Rank. Yeah. So what the fuck are we talking about?
But what I'm saying from a fighter standpoint,
from a bullshit standpoint.
The fighter, they always want the fighter.
No. I don't care what they want. That just doesn't even make sense.
No, but that's how it's always been. Like a fighter signed with a promotional company. He's there for so long. David Benavidez, same thing. You know, I'm loyal to the PBC. You know, I'm loyal to Showtime. This and that.
What I'm saying is that when you talk about not working, right? Why would they not work with me, right? Why would you work with Golden Boy and not work with me? Why would you work with Top Rank and not work with me?
But see, that's the good old boys club. You know, this is amongst promoters. So you got the Golden Boy, you have, you know, Matchroom, you have Top Rank. These are the promoters. You know,
fuck the good old boys. I don't do well. I don't do well with good old boys.
You're not. To be honest, the DHP Promotions is not Top Rank. You know, you don't have the structure. Golden Boy, I don't know what the hell
listen, I represent
that's what I mean.
I represent one of the most high profile fighters in boxing.
That's one. Give me another one.
I don't need to. I'm at the top of the game. What are you talking?
But see, that's what I'm saying.
I don't need
Top Rank got Abdullah Mason, Keyshawn Davis. Well, they had Shakur.
Okay, wait. You tell me one of the Top Rank fighters is bigger than Devin.
No, it ain't none. It ain't none. It ain't no top rank fighter right now. Not right now.
So if you that motherfucking big and you that motherfucking good, then that's what I do speaks volumes.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? What I do speaks volumes. When you talk about a company that has been around since Muhammad Ali, has been around 40, 50 years. You see what I'm saying? Right?
But what I'm saying is they got a company, they have a plethora of fighters that's over there, and you know, it seems like they got kind of like a farming system. Now, they don't have any fighters that's bigger than Dev right now, but that doesn't mean they won't be when their time comes. A lot of those guys they have over there are young fighters, prospects. Right. So at their point in their career right now,
in the Devin Haney era, he's bigger than Top Rank.
We got to clarify that though.
He's bigger than Top Rank.
Some of these fighters right now at their careers. Of course, Dev has a jump on these guys. Let's just be honest.
He's younger than all of them.
You know what I mean?
He's younger than all of them.
But hold on, not all of them. He ain't younger than Abdullah Mason. He's not younger than.
No. How old is Abdullah? Because they're about
Abdullah 21.
Oh well, Devin 26. So yeah, he's
Keyshawn,
he's a veteran.
Keyshawn, I forgot how old. I don't know how old Keyshawn is.
He's a young vet. You know what I'm saying? Because he's the youngest, but he's one of the most experienced.
Talking about Dev?
Yeah.
Dev turned pro what? 2000? What? He been pro about 10 years now.
About 10 years.
About 10 years now.
32 fights.
Yeah, 32, but 32 and 0. We're really 30. Well, you know they say 31 with an asterisk, but the asterisk is because Ryan Garcia cheated.
Well, I mean, if you say 31, you're only making an ass out of yourself.
Nah, he's 32. I'm just fucking with you. He's 32 though. So, but what I'm saying is back to what I was saying. Dealing with these different promoters. Mm-hmm. Is there any beef with you know you and Oscar?
Well, I mean, it could be.
Or is it just business? It ain't that personal.
Listen, God gave me the responsibility to be Devin's dad and be his father. You know what I'm saying? But I've taken on the responsibility of also working for Dev and that being my job. So I really don't give a fuck who got beef with anything with me about what I'm doing and how I'm doing about Devin. As long as Devin believes in it and I'm cool with Devin, then I don't give a fuck about what Oscar or whoever got something to say.
So what I notice is when it comes to doing business, regardless of how businessmen may feel about each other personally, you know, you all deal with the bottom line. You're not going to let personal feelings get in the way of business. So is it safe to say that from a personal standpoint, you and Oscar may not dig each other too much, but when it comes to business, y'all put that aside to increase the bottom line?
Absolutely, but when you talk about that, I mean, we've done it 3 times. You know, 3 times he's lost. He's 0-3 to me. Jojo Diaz, Jorge Linares, and Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, so I mean that's proof right there. Y'all do business together.
Absolutely.
So now, Turki Alalshikh. Let's break it.
I think right now, I think Devin is more accomplished, and then you would have to, second that or tell me what's over there. Then he's more accomplished than anybody on Golden Boy's promotions.
Golden Boy. They matchmaking is pretty much. They got a bunch of. No disrespect to Oscar, but y'all got a bunch of tomato cans over there. We know y'all have padded records over there. fighters. Y'all have fighters. Like they was on that honeymoon gear diet. That's what they do over there, Golden Boy. No disrespect, Oscar, but I watch a lot of your fighters. We know how y'all do it, smoking mirrors.
Okay.
But however, you 3-0 against Golden Boy fighters. You 3-0 against Golden Boy fighters. That's cool. Now Turki Alalshikh comes into the fold. Turki Alalshikh seemed like he had an ability to be able to make all of the American promoters do what they didn't want to do. You brought up earlier about the wrong sides of the street. You had to be signed up to a certain promotional company. Turki Alalshikh comes to the trap and take over the trap. Tell me, what's the difference between when Devin Haney first started boxing, dealing with the politics of boxing, and became undisputed? You worked with Oscar, you worked with Eddie, you worked with Bob Arum, but now Turki Alalshikh is in the fold. How has that dynamic changed since he's been in boxing?
Well, I mean, I think that what I've learned is, with the, I believe it's the 2030 initiative, Riyadh season, right? And just Turkey's interest in boxing to come in and to now ambassador boxing to Riyadh. You know what I mean? Has been amazing, and then this amazing opportunity. And once again, I'm saying is when it's Devin Haney versus everybody, you're able to take advantage of those opportunities when they come up. And I think a lot of young fighters, a lot of other fighters would wish to be the same thing as in Devin Haney's position, that he's directly with the connect.
Do you feel that Devin Haney is...
No, I said directly with the connect.
which is Turki Alalshikh. He is the connect.
So when you talk about that, at 26, accomplished, when you talk about, the other company in PBC, you talk about Devin being arguably even more accomplished than anyone over there with hardware. So when you talk about certain criteria, Devin fits the boxes, right? He checks off the boxes. And so when you talk about working with, how did we get here if everybody is not working with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said we was out of business.
Yeah,
Wait, go back, rewind back. Shh. Didn't somebody come in the comment section and say that Devin Haney is out of business? And Devin Haney gonna fight? Yeah.
I mean, that's the perception they putting out there. But now you just said somebody you dealing directly with the connect. So now, what is it about Turki Alalshikh that makes people?
No, that's just how you tell them. No, Bill, y'all ain't out of business.
Hold on.
Y'all ain't out of business. Turkey came to the game, right? And all that bullshit, all the bullshit narratives and all that, right? It's best fight the best. You know what I mean? And you're not going to dance around and do like Tio was just doing and all that. You know what I mean? Those smoke screens and all that other shit.
What's smoke screen? Like be more specific.
Like talking about Turkey like you're gonna get out the fight.
Oh.
All the people, listen. The fights, listen. They're happening. Behind the scenes, they're happening. When you talk about Turkey and the Tank fight, and could the Tank and Devin fight? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, and I told everybody that then. See, remember when Turkey was? Remember that was fresh.
So you giving us exclusive stuff?
No,
you giving us exclusive?
Yeah, listen, that fight always been on the table for Tank.
So
Tank is on the list.
So wait a minute.
Tank is on the list.
We gonna talk about that list. Listen. So wait a minute. So Tank said that he'll never work with Turkey. That everybody sitting on stage look like they don't sold their soul, and everybody got as Timothy Bradley would say, you gotta bow down and kiss the ring to Turkey. I ain't gonna never bow down and all that stuff there.
All he gotta do is probably. Now, I don't know.
Tank, you think Tank can change his mind and work with Turkey for the money?
Listen, I don't know, but I know if he copy and paste what Tio just said and then put his name on it, then he might got a good chance.
So you say if Tank come out there and apologize,
I'm not saying he need to.
Because
wait. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying he need to, and I'm not saying that that'll accelerate it. I'm not saying that that'll delay it. I'm just giving an example of somebody that then said something bad about the man and then came back out and recanted and said something different.
So why Tio, the bigot, did not stand on his square? He said a video before that, I don't do no apologizing. I'm not going to apologize. So why all of a sudden he apologizing?
Well, he was out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? He needed to apologize for a lot of shit. I don't know if we would value the sincerity on it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it ain't no secret. I done been locked up. You know what I'm saying before, right? And within the prison, right? You got ABs, you got mafia, you got all them, and you see the tattoos. You know,
Yeah.
it says that they're racist. They outrightly say that they are, but we got to live in this place for however long that we sentence.
Yeah.
So working and dealing with and all the other shit. You see what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm familiar with. You see what I'm saying? But they're racist, man. They're racist. I can't say it enough. I already know they're racist, and definitely, you know what I mean? Of course we want to fight him. Of course Devin wants to fight him. Devin been wanting to fight him. So
Yeah,
by saying
Teofimo has actively been ducking Devin Haney for years.
So by saying racist shit, to think that you're going to get out the fight, you go against Turkey and think that, okay, something else is going to be on the table. You know what I mean? Something miraculous is going to be on the table that's bigger than that. And ain't nothing bigger right now. Ain't nothing bigger than the 2030 initiative and for entertainment and sports. I mean, it's big. And it's just not big in boxing. It's big in a number of different sports and entertainment.
So basically what you're saying is Teofimo, being the fool that he is, he wising up and realized, you know what, I'm burning all these bridges. Why would you burn the bridge of the guy who arguably gonna pay you the most money you ever been paid before in your boxing career? I said the same thing with Shakur Stevenson. When Shakur Stevenson said what he said about Turki Alalshikh with the time, he sent this tower heads and all that stuff to come see me, and then Shakur came back and apologized. It was dumb because you got a guy who's made all of the promotional companies bow down. I'm gonna use Timothy Bradley. I'm gonna use your talking terms. He made all of the promotional companies bow down. Before Turki Alalshikh, wrong side of the street, signed the contract, call Al, you signed with the wrong promotional company, kid. Well, Bob Evans told Devin Haney, Eddie Hearn. Now Turki Alalshikh come in, you see Golden Boy, you see Oscar, representative of PBC, Matchroom, all of them on the stage together. Top Rank, all of them on the stage together, smiling, shaking hands. So this one guy from Saudi Arabia, he's been in boxing for 18 months. He made all of them work together. So they could have been doing it. So now, pivot back to Teofimo, he realizes, man, I done fucked up. Yeah, I'm a bigot in the races, but damn, I need to clean this shit up, because at the end of the day, it's prize fight. It appears that he don't want to fight Devin Haney. Is that appearance is true? Because a lot of fans feel that way. Teofimo is ducking Devin.
Yeah, he's been ducking him. He's been ducking him. You know what I mean? But he knows that Devin is no easy out for nobody. You know what I'm saying? But someone might have told me, I might have heard something that, you know what I mean, maybe he's not ducking. Maybe he's not ducking. What you think?
Okay, I don't know. We're going to see.
I'm saying is, you think the duck, if a person has ducked the fight for so long and then they sign up to fight, are they still a duck or they're not a duck? Well, how does that?
Well, no. If he signed up to fight, then he ain't ducking no more. It doesn't mean that he's not. No, he's still a duck. He's still a duck. Okay. But now the duck has come to terms when he ain't got nowhere else to go.
Or the duck has come to roost.
So now he's a fighting duck.
What's that? A fighting duck.
A fighting duck, yeah.
Right.
Fighting duck. I would say that. Now, not to shit on Teofimo too much, but he's a good fighter.
No, great fighter. Great,
very athletic.
No. But I don't take that away from Gordo. I always said that he's tremendously talented. You know what I'm saying? I give all these guys their grams, right? That's why they're on the list. You know what I'm saying? And they're on the list. You can't go playing around with Turkey like you're trying to make some fights happen, but really, you really like, when we went to Eddie Hearn, we were trying to make Lomachenko fight. That was the fight that we were gonna fight Luke Campbell, and then gonna fight Lomachenko. Eddie Hearn was promising that he was gonna try to negotiate.
Bob Barron told y'all went to the wrong promotion.
Right, he said we went to the wrong promotional company.
Yeah.
So we went to Top Rank for Lomachenko and whoever else that Top Rank had, right?
Was that a 2-fight deal?
Was it 2 or 3?
Because
it was 3 fights. It was
no,
3
well,
fights. It was 3 fights because
but when you went over there, you fought George Kambosos twice, and then you got
so
out of
3 fights. No, it was 3 fights. It was 2 with George and 1 with Lomachenko.
Lomachenko, yeah.
Right. And of course, they could have put anybody else on the table. They could have put Shakur. They could have put anybody else on the table for us to look at, right, and negotiate, but they didn't. So we left there and we went to Matchroom for Regis Prograde. We left there and went to Golden Boy for both Ryan Garcia and Jose Ramirez.
So that's the part you learned. Is that the part you learned from Floyd by being able to work with different promotional companies, or I'm saying from as an independent?
Well, no,
as independent.
Well, just as anything. Floyd has done what he had to do to get the champions on the resume. You know what I mean? Whatever you had to do. I mean, I don't diminish that when I talk about what he's done. But then I say for Devin, what we've done and had to do couldn't be anything else other than exceptional. It should be viewed as exceptional. You know what I mean? Instead of, and when they down it, then you have to down all the other champions. You have to take a look at it. When I said 26, I said, well, look at Ray Leonard, look at everyone. Look at Antonio Tarver, look at everyone then at 26. And then you'll see that it's some magic in there.
I get what you're saying on that. What people had an issue with, especially myself, it appeared that you were saying that Devin Haney was better than those fighters. And, but because Dev became undisputed at 24, he was better than Sugar Ray. He was better than Floyd. He's better than Roy Jones and all that stuff there. So that's how that was interpreted.
Right.
So what you're clearing up is you're not saying that. You're just saying, look what he's accomplished and look what they accomplished at that time. You're not saying he was better than those fighters.
Yeah, no, you can't. I can't compare a career of 20 years to a career of 10 years, right? In terms of that, I can only compare what Devin has done and who Devin is now, and what Floyd had did at that age, right? And then that's where the comparison came in.
So pivot back to Teo. So you're saying that Teofimo signed the contract to fight Devin Haney, and we're gonna get that fight?
No, I didn't. I said that he agreed to the fight, and then he came with the tweets and the stuff, and then I see that he's tweeted out an apology to Turki, right?
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe Turki. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if Turki has went for it.
Listen. Explain to the people who Turki Alalshikh with his demeanor. He seemed like don't nothing really bother him. Do he? He's spending an exuberant amount of money in the sport of boxing. A lot of people say he overpaying fighters. They can't be making a profit. The man
Get out of this business,
money.
man. Stop.
The man blowing money.
Listen, I know, Bob Aaron, we're paying a lot of money, and Oscar and all that. Listen, they're pocket watching, and they're pocket watching. You know what I mean? And they're trying to, listen, because they've been forced to do what I'm doing, being managers and not promoters, right? I always said that the fighter was the fighter is the promoter. I'm the manager. It's Devin Haney Promotions. It's not Bill Haney Promotions. But and their business model was it was Top Rank, and then it was the fighter.
The fighter.
Now they're having to resort to now becoming somewhat of a manager, right? Because the platform is reality. The platform is theirs. The promotional vehicle is Turki Alalshikh and Top Rank. Turki Alalshikh and Ring. Excuse me, same time. And Ring and Sela. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now they're.
Is that the guy who's the guy that been in all the time? The short guy. Every time they present, when the fighters stand face to face.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I think they say the president of the ring magazine.
Yeah, right. So now they're in a position that because what Turki has said is that he likes to work with the fighters, right? That's publicly, that he wants to make sure that the fighters get the biggest bag that they can.
So he deals directly with the fighters.
I don't know. I don't know. I know he deals directly with that.
This is what I heard. I'm not gonna say who the person is, but you know who you are. Someone at Top Rank told me that Turki Alalshikh get in contact directly with the fighter. He gave me an example. He said when Jared Anderson fought Martin Bacole,
yes,
he said they reached out to Jared Anderson personally.
No, I would believe. I don't think that the guys at Sealand Ring would ever step over a manager or promoter to get to a fighter. The fighter would reach out himself, right?
Okay.
And you know what I mean. But sometimes fighters don't have the necessarily wherewithal to reach out and to negotiate and to actually know what they're going to do and be committed about doing it.
Yeah, they're just fighters. I get
right,
that.
they're just fighters. So
So Turki Alalshikh, he seems like a no nonsense type of guy. The fanatics and promoters, he's blowing all his money. Barbarian said he's overpaying fighters for this and that. Like, what is their end game? We know they have the Riyadh season initiative to 2030.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. We know that Riyadh season is involved. They got PGA, WWE.
Boxing cannot
they got soccer.
Boxing cannot get out of its own way sometimes, and the boxing community here, they're complaining, right? When before they were saying this, there's no money to pay, and there's no money, right?
Right.
They were complaining about the fighters. Now they were complaining about the fighters because they were saying that they had to pay. I mean, Eddie said it. Everyone said. Bob said he bought a mansion for.
Yeah. He said I could have bought a mansion. In Beverly Hills for the money I lost on Crawford.
Right. So now he's not
just openly shitting on Crawford.
Yeah. So now he's not spending a dime, and he's openly shitting on.
And he's still complaining. You know what? That's a good point. Because first they complain, oh man, we ain't got enough money to pay the fighters. Now you got a guy that comes in and pay the fighters more money than they ever been paid, and they're still complaining.
And let me tell you what these.
But why are they complaining?
Listen, let me tell you what these. And guess what? They get a percentage of the money.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So if they get a percentage of the money, right, that the fighter is getting from Turki, but they're shitting on there and saying that they don't need to be getting paid. What does that make sense?
No, I'm gonna tell you why.
But let me tell you, it's just the narrative to destroy the fighter. Because if you can destroy the fighter mentally, right, then you can control the fighter. So they're losing control of the fighter, right? So the way that they come back in is come back in and play this mental game. You know what I mean?
No, and what I was saying is, to pivot off what you were saying, they're not in control anymore.
No.
That's what it is.
No.
The promoter, they got, we know we're the promoter, we control everything. When Turki Alalshikh comes into play, they're not in control anymore.
No.
They just have to sit back and do what the fuck they're told.
Well, yeah, but I was never a big fan of that system or that way of working anyway. I've always been pro the fighter. You know what I'm saying? I've always been pro, the fighter being, being transparent, everything being transparent, the fighter knowing everything, and then the fighter having, you take the percentage, after everything is taken care of.
So if and when this fight go down between Devin, the Dream Haney, and Teofimo Lopez,
the Dream is gonna be bigger than what's that guy? What you said, Pretty Boy. You compare the Pretty Boy era to the Dream era, and guess what?
Man, no.
It won't even be close.
I got a video I'm dropping. I'm finna destroy all that. What you talking about?
Oh man, guess what?
You asked for this. You asked for this now. I'm going in the lab. Doing some research, you asked for this.
Listen, he got to go in there and figure out a magic trick because it don't work right here live. Well, I'm telling you, when we go at the boy, and we get that scalp, God willing, inshallah, we get that scalp.
Yeah, you talking about the scalp?
We get that scalp. That what is he like a two-time lineal champion or something like that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a great scalp to go on the Devin Haney resume, and Devin's pursuit to the Mount Rushmore of boxing.
What make you so confident you can beat Teofimo, especially after Devin's last performance, when you say when you just pulled out one of the tools out of the warehouse of toolboxes? What make you think that Devin Haney has the skill to beat someone like a Teofimo, who's looked upon as, you know, what they call him, the takeover? You know, him and his dad. I call him P Diddy. I call him T Diddy and Diddy Bob. You know what I mean? So, you know, what make you think that? What's so special about Devin Haney that he gonna beat Teofimo? Teofimo is probably gonna be looked upon as a more athletically gifted fighter, a better overall fighter than Devin Haney. And this version of Devin Haney that we saw in the last fight, people not so sure. They saying he looked scared, he looked terrified. What makes you think, as a trainer, that version of Devin Haney is gonna beat Teofimo Lopez?
Well, I mean, when you talk about we know who they is, and they never show
Your
up.
critics.
You know what I mean? But they never show up because, you know, we know. Remember when we had the call-in show and they never showed up. so pretty much when we're talking about they're not talking about nothing. You know, when you talk about 8 different times that you hopefully, and I say inshallah, that you're able to do business. You're able to get that caliber of fighter in there on the opposite side. You're not getting him there because he's no slouch. You're getting him there, so it's another big leap towards the Mount Rushmore of boxing. It catapults you. Nor was, and everyone was telling us, don't go after Jose Ramirez. Why would you pick Jose? Why you pick Jose? Why you pick Jose?
Before the fight, that is the truth.
And I said, you know what I mean? That's what you do when you represent that old school of fighting, right? What Devin learned. You know what I'm saying? And his style.
Yeah, but he didn't fight like the old school in that fight, man. I get what you're saying. I get
you ain't seen Willie Pep.
I ain't seen Willie Pep.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Man, look here, man. Willie Pep ain't fight like. Listen, listen. Hear me out.
What do you mean he ain't fight?
Hold on. Willie Pep was all around. Oh, he was all around fighter.
How many knockouts he had?
I don't know exactly how many knockouts he had.
I mean, he was more defensive than he was offensive.
I get that, but Willie Pep's style was very, very entertaining. You know, like, again, all I'm saying is Dev's last fight, he looked like he was scared. All I'm saying is, and from what you said earlier, you was preparing for Robert Garcia and all that stuff there. So it kind of looked like you were scared of what Robert was going to bring to the table. And so
absolutely. No, he don't got. See, that's what I'm saying is when it comes to a fighter, right? And when you have that kind of chemistry, right, where the fighter is entrusting you with the game plan, right? And he trusted in me to do it, to come up with the game plan. And like I said, that was first gear, right? Could I have told him, I said, okay, Dev, you know what I'm saying, ain't nothing there, you know what I mean? I want you to walk him down now, get behind that shoulder, you know what I mean, and get busy. I could have said that.
What was Sugar Shane Mosley inputting the game plan?
What I'm saying is the Sugar Shane Mosley style. We got a lot of intimate conversations with him. We got a chance to see a lot of things, and it's in the warehouse.
All right, so if you can get the Teofimo Lopez in the ring without giving away a game plan, I'm pretty sure you've been studying Teo for a while. How long? For the record, how long?
I'm gonna tell you the game plan. We're gonna step to him. How about that? We're gonna step to him and we're gonna use the Sugar Shane style.
How long y'all been trying to get that Teo fight though?
Ever since the WBC tournament, when both of them wasn't champions, and Teo said that he was gonna go an easier route.
What year that was?
Man, I don't know. I can't.
I remember the face-off y'all had. It was you, Dev, Teo, his father, Eddie Hearn, and y'all was outside at the
shout out to
at the zone event.
Yeah. If you win, do I get a promise? Did I come here for nothing? If you win, do you promise that it's Devin and Loma?
Yeah, for $20 million. And you
don't
know
price yourself out like that. Don't listen to him.
$20 million.
No, listen.
You know you love money. Come on, bro.
20?
$20
y'all heard
million.
it. It takes $20 million to
$20
get
million.
You see what he said.
Teofimo Lopez versus Haney after we put the this mother, because it's gonna be a boxing exhibition that you guys never seen in your life, and he knows what I'm talking about.
Fred with Barbershop Conversations. He, you know what I mean. He was on it, man, and he was on them boys before the world knew necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not who they are now. You know what I mean? And he got that exclusive, and he didn't hesitate or shy away from saying while Teal was talking, he said, "Oh, Devin, here come Devin right now," and they got a chance to,
talk to. Let's pivot a little bit as it relates to the media. It was something that you said to me about how the media, promotional companies and so-called, I guess the top people in the media in boxing, they like to shit on. I guess the little folks. Like
they can't say no. They're not little.
Which one? I'm saying in
big
their
or
eyes.
small. Without y'all, we're not who we are. We can't get a chance to get into new homes, and people get a chance to see our art. You know what I'm saying? They're lying about what the fans do for us. They're lying about what the YTBC does. You know what I mean? What new media does for us and for the community. That's why when I heard the bots talking shit in there, and I pulled up to Florida. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna do it.
Yeah,
they're gonna know. Listen, and I told him, you know what I mean. Don't hold back nothing. Yeah, don't hold back nothing. Don't ruin yourself. Don't crash yourself out trying to, you know what I mean. Not. Listen, hold on. Don't crash yourself out. Because you're really throwing alley oops. I got the guy. You know I got the guy.
Yeah, I know.
I got him.
But listen, the pivot back what I was saying about the media. So it seems to be like me. I'm not in the media circle. I'm not a part even of I don't represent new media. I represent true media. Because I look at the
How are you not? Shout out to True Media Podcast. How are you not if we are accomplished? And I just said it.
Yeah.
I just came and did it. How are you not? You are. And that's what I keep telling them. When I'm in the meetings and now they're starting to, before they didn't even, YouTube didn't mean shit.
Yeah.
It was like, they had this question, they had this thing, they says, okay, well, what is he doing on linear television?
Yeah.
And then what is he doing on digital? Right? So the digital, they were like, that's just some promo shit.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
the digital has taken over.
The digital has taken over.
Yeah.
And all the guys and all the companies that devalue the YouTube shit and promoting that way now all have YouTube channels.
Yeah.
They have Instagrams. Yeah. They have all the shit.
They were shitting on us yesterday.
Yeah.
Now they copying us.
Yeah. But go look at Real Devin Haney TV and look how long ago we was doing this shit. Going directly to our people.
Directly to the consumer.
And providing the content, providing the backdrop, the back scene, the you know what I mean? The fortified. We were showing us in Mexico.
I'm glad you said something about Mexico. Gabe Rosado, he said something about Devin Haney getting a loss in Mexico, and you paid, because it's corrupt over there, some of the judges to make that loss disappear. Is there any validity to that?
Man, I told you if I paid, listen, let me show you. Let me show you how. Let me show you. Man, if I paid everybody that they said that I had paid to do things that aren't supposed to be did, I would be broke.
Yeah, Gabe Rosado, back to what I was saying, doggone, Gabe was saying that, you guys had Devin Haney had a fight over there in Mexico. He had a loss. You snuck somebody some bread under the table to get that loss removed. Is there any validity or truth to that? What Gabe said?
Is there anybody that say that they were there, that they saw it, where is the guy that we fought? Where's the judges? Where's the audience? You know what I mean? Was there anybody in there that was selling popcorn that night? Can someone corroborate the story other than saying, remember they is not real. Me and you established that, right? They is not real. But they be lurking in your comment section, but they're not real. They're not real.
Why you say they're not real?
Because we never see them. They never show up and say, you know what I mean? I was there, I seen it.
Yeah.
They never say that. They never say, oh, you know that's my homeboy. He told me, or the guy that really, you don't think a guy or a coach or somebody would come out now and claim a victory that they have over Devin? Well, nobody else can say what I just said. And that's what I'm saying.
Errol Spence. And they say Errol Spence.
Yeah, you know
they say
what?
Errol Spence put the beats by Dre on Floyd too now.
And
That's what they say.
And you know what? The next sparring session, Floyd put it on Errol Spence.
Oh, they ain't say that? I ain't never heard that.
You ain't never heard that?
No.
I'll ask, yeah.
I ain't never heard that.
Let me tell you, everybody that Floyd sparred, if they got out on him, which that can't happen.
Yeah.
He always came back and got his leg back.
Yeah, I heard about that. But I didn't hear that. So you trying to tell me I always heard it one side?
No. That's what I'm saying. He came back and got his leg back.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So back to the media. So how do these promoters look at people like they look like as YouTubers? You know, like my podcast and stuff like that. How do they look at us? Like, what are some of the conversations that you hear without naming any names? Do they look at us because we're not established like a Dan Rayfield or a Mike Coppinger or whatever? Do they look at us as peons or like they're just beneath me, or how do they look at us?
No, they work their dumbass game on y'all that y'all work on the fighters and on the fans. Like you work that game like this fighter ain't shit. They work and say that that podcast ain't shit, or that no, we don't need to give them tickets to the fight. I believe that they should all get tickets. They've been promoting this motherfucker. Well, what would make this celebrity necessarily, and it doesn't, I wouldn't say A-list, B-list, but what would make that particular celebrity have more carte blanche in the fight than True Media Podcast, who's actually promoting the fight, the whole camp, the whole 30 days, who's also going to do pre and post to it? Why not have all of them in there, or as many of them as you can? It's 20,000 fucking seats, right? So why not 1,000 of them go to some of the best and most dedicated podcaster and YouTubes and social media influencers and stuff like that, that's posting and fucking with it. And sometimes that they the promoters rely more so on just the ones that are quote in-house that they work with, right. And then they'll give them that group and then the rest to the celebrities. And
yeah, but you got to do a lot of ass kissing to be in that group, man. I never been in that group. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not a part of that circle. I don't give a fuck about the circle. I don't care who the promoter is. None of that. That's just how I am.
But when the Super Bowl happens, you have media, all kinds of media.
Yeah, all kinds of media.
You know what I'm saying? You have all kinds of media.
No. I know. I care about covering it, but what I'm saying is, if the gatekeepers is what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not gonna bow down to the gatekeeper. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I know, like you say, these promoters, they have a certain group that they deal with. I'm not a part of the groups. And I'm fully fine with that. That's all I'm saying. I ain't not what nobody else do, but I'm not a part of the group. You know what I mean? So, and I don't.
Well, they're not gonna come on the show. But this shit ain't pre-rehearsed. This shit ain't rehearsed, pre-rehearsed. You know what I mean? None of that. I told him, listen, don't even ask me. I said, don't even ask me. Ask me on the joint so the fans can get it real and raw. You know what I'm saying?
So, in the wrap up, what can we expect? When and what can we expect to see from Devin the Dream Haney when he come back to the ring? Hopefully, he gonna come back this year.
Definitely.
Okay,
definitely,
so what can we expect?
You're definitely gonna see even more improved. A fighter that's making his way to the Mount Rushmore of boxing. You know what I mean? We put him in front of him, and he knocks him down, man.
All right, so hopefully we get that fight this year. Ryan Garcia, what say you? Do you plan on revisiting that? Or what?
Yeah, he's number 10.
He's number 10. And the lawsuit. Oscar De La Hoya, from what I'm hearing, he tricked you into dropping the lawsuit, drop the lawsuit in order to get the Ryan Garcia rematch. So I heard that you went ahead and dropped the lawsuit.
Yeah, we dropped it.
he came to 52 fake out.
Well, we dropped the lawsuit. We wanted to fight, and we wanted to fight based on we knew that he wasn't that motherfucking good, right? And that's what Devin said. Devin said no, he wasn't used to seeing that. So when we did all that we could do to make sure that he was in VADA and he was being tested and all that, we got a chance to see.
Got a chance to see him.
We got a chance to see. The world got a chance. He's right now. He's having to work his way back into boxing after being a 12-time amateur champion.
Yeah, because
to being now in that seat that he's in. You know what I mean? That I wouldn't want to sit in, and I wouldn't want Devin to ever be sitting in. You know what I mean?
You know what?
But he's made that bed, and now he's laying in it.
One thing I can say is Brian Garcia got to be the biggest con in boxing because he you heard a lot of hype about Ryan Garcia, but when you talk about accomplishments, this boy ain't accomplished nothing in boxing. He's never been a champion, and, never really wanted to fight for no damn title when he fought Rolly Romero. I think that was for the WBA regular. I think that was vacant or something of that sort. So, but what I'm saying is he haven't accomplished anything, and he's more known as a social media star, Instagram model, TikToker. I look at Ryan Garcia in the same vein as a Jake Paul, but I have more respect for Jake because at least Jake is doing a lot of good in the sport of boxing, but he haven't accomplished anything. So I never really got the hype with Ryan Garcia. He got a nice left hook, but outside of that, then what?
Right.
So anyways,
like I said, I know all those guys from, the amateurs and stuff like that. Ryan Garcia can fight. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you get started using any kind of drug, you know what I'm saying? Just coming from the streets, getting off of that shit is the hardest thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? So any young fighters and all that, don't let anyone tell you that you want to start using those, those PEDs, because it'll affect your mental as well. You know what I'm saying? So he has to do some soul searching. I'm a fan of boxing. I'm gonna do my best without any bias, without any reservations and all that to get Devin the fights that he needs to join that fraternity. So it's doing business at the end of the day. Do I like the people that I do business with? Not all the time.
Okay, and to wrap up, what you got to say to the fans? Look there.
Which where?
Look there.
I'm gonna look there, and I'm gonna tell you.
And then look over there.
I came to Florida, and as you see, I answered all the questions down in that comment section. And if I missed something, he forgot.
If I forgot, send a super chat the question, and we can get the answer. Bill Haney, thank you, brother.
Absolutely, Kate.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go. Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go.